Good morning, everyone. It's about 3:30, 3:40 in the morning. I'm in Pennsylvania right now. Couldn't sleep. Most of the time when this happens, I wake up stressed about money. So let me explain to everyone here in this video. Bear with me. I'm not real good with editing, so we're going to try a couple different things here. But wanted to explain to everyone my operating costs, I guess, and kind of go over that. Feel free to comment any suggestions, any comments, and if you are also a semi-driver, especially an owner-op, please comment how you guys do things. I really would like to know. The company I worked for in the past, they did things differently, I know, or at least had a rough figure. They kind of split things in quarters. A quarter went to the driver, a quarter went to the truck, quarter went to fuel, and then a quarter roughly went to the parent company. Because it's just me, I basically came up with an operating cost per mile. So here's what we've got. This might take a couple minutes, and then there's going to be a part 2 to this, and you're going to kind of see more of a personal look at the last few weeks of what I've had to go through, kind of explain everything here. So I'm going to pull this graphic up here, and you guys are going to kind of see my current operating costs, and I'll do some explaining here. So first off, I am basing everything on if I were to drive 100,000 miles per year with a single rear axle truck. Right now, that's the truck I've got. That's the truck I've had in the past, so that's just kind of the way I base things now. As things continue to grow, I might consider a heavier duty trailer as well as a heavier duty truck, but that's what I've got right now. I'm also basing it off of 100,000 just because it's easy numbers. This year, I'm going to end up closer to 115,000. At least that will be end of February of 2024 and end of February 2025. So here goes nothing. I'm basing my numbers on a truck replacement every 8 years, 800,000 miles. I'm going to say that's $75,000. Brand new truck right now is about 180 to 250,000, so that would be based on me buying new. That is 9.3 cents a mile. However, in my mind, I am going to do a rebuild in there as well. So I'm kind of looking at that as we're probably technically, in my numbers, it'd be 16 years, but it's probably going to be more like every 12 years there's going to be a new truck. Whether or not that works out, I don't know. I haven't done that this long. It's just a good base number. So I also have an engine replacement every 800,000 miles, and I'm figuring that's going to cost about $45,000. Now, that could change, that could go down. Maybe I find a crashed truck that has a good engine, but still, if I have to go to a shop, have a full rebuild done, I'm probably around $45,000. Same with the transmission. I'm kind of basing that on 800,000 miles. I'm going to have to do a replacement there, and I'm going to say that's going to be about $15,000. And that is 1.9, so almost 2 cents a mile just to operate my transmission in order to replace it at that 800,000 mile or 8-year mark. Next up, we are going to have tires at about 100,000 miles. I figure I'm going to spend $2,400. That is 2.4 cents a mile. Again, that varies. I know a lot of guys are getting 125 to 150,000, but a lot of my customers are basically presenting me with situations where I'm going to go off-road. To some extent, I'm not just pounding highway miles. I am driving down a 2-track, and that all comes at an expense. It's a chip in the tire or it's a cut in the sidewall. So just easy numbers again. 2,400. I could have, I suppose, done 2,500, but here we are. So 2.4 cents a mile. Running gear. The axles and drive shafts, I'm figuring $1,500 per every 100,000 miles, 1.5 cents a mile. Cooling system repairs, $2,000 for every 100,000 miles. That is 2 cents per mile. Electrical system repairs, that's a starter, alternator, batteries, corrosion, sensors, etc. $3,000 per 100,000 miles, or 3 cents per mile. That seems high, but I just had to replace the starter. That was $1,000. One sensor replacement on this truck could be $1,200, even though it's fairly accessible, fairly delicate, and some of this stuff we are not allowed technically to do on our own. I hate electrical work. That's something that I leave to the experts for the most part. And as I hopefully continue to grow, there are less and less things that I want to do, because I prefer to make sure that it's done to the letter of the law, so to speak, and not have any potential issues there. Fuel system repair, injectors, housings, lines, tanks, etc. $2,000 per 100,000 miles. That's 2 cents a mile. That could be anything from it needs a leaky hose, to there's a crack in a line, to what's another good example? Injectors. I mean, I understand that I couldn't replace my injectors for $2,000, but hopefully the money grows. I don't need it for the first year. I don't need it for the second or third year. Well, now we get to year 4 or 5. There's $10,000 there. Now we have to do a full injector job or something like that. This isn't all money I plan to spend every single year, but as a whole, it will end up working out that way. It might be I do nothing for 3 years, but then, boom, I get hit with, hey, you need injectors, and you need tires, as well as alternator and a starter. Both decide to fail. And one thing I just realized I don't have on here is a turbo replacement, but again, there's probably enough in here that would kind of cover that. Up next is the suspension. That is the bearings. I'm saying that's part of the suspension. You could argue that that's something else pretty easily. But the springs, the airbags, the shocks, alignment, etc., it's $2,500 per 100,000 miles. It's 2.5 cents a mile. Again, am I going to spend that every year? Probably not. But it certainly could happen. I have been in a situation before where an airline broke and busted a back spring hanger, and next thing you know, there's $1,800 down the drain in the blink of an eye, literally. An airline locked up, it ripped a back cross member apart, and just goofy stuff happens. So yeah, 2.5 cents a mile. The brakes, I'm going to say $2,000 per every 100,000 miles at 2 cents a mile. Then preventative maintenance, that's oil, fluids, belts, hoses, filters, etc. $3,500 per 100,000 miles, 3.5 cents a mile. That is a pretty accurate cost. You're going to spend between $500 and $700 probably for a good PM. I'm on a good PM plan right now with Ryder, who I bought the truck from, but that will come to an end eventually, and so we need to start preparing for that. Belts, hoses, some of that stuff I can do fairly easily. Again, oil change I can, but I know that I bring it into a shop, get a full grease job for $500 to $700, a whole lot better off. And they do fuel filter as well as oil filters included there. Next, I have my registration and HUT, the 2290. That's the heavy use tax. One thing I will never understand is why I pay separate tax for having a gross vehicle weight over 55,000 pounds when that is literally what the registration is for. My registration is based solely on the weight, and so it irks me to no end. It's a separate fee. Anyway, between the two of those, that's about $1,700 a year. I have to pay that every year if I drive 500 miles or if I drive 500,000 miles. It's just part of it per truck. So if I were to get another truck on the road, that, of course, it would add to that. And next up is my insurance. And again, I'm basing this off of 100,000 miles per year. But that could change very easily. But my insurance is $32,000 a year. And so that comes out to 32 cents a mile that I have to pay. Now I'm insured for $100,000 worth of cargo. I can send a text to my agent and I can be insured for $250,000 worth of cargo for a few more dollars a day. And you literally snap of a finger and it's done. But that's the cost, and people don't realize quite what that is. My agent made a mistake. I was going to a new agent. I was paying around 10 or 12. I guess just paying around $12,000 or $13,000 a year for insurance. And I was switching agents already, and my new agent said that I did not have any cargo insurance. So I called the old agent back to finish up the policy, went to add cargo insurance, and they never had me listed as a for-hire trucking company. I was scraping by at the $1,000 a month, and instead they changed it, so now it's about $32,000 a year. So that comes out to, close to $3,000 a month, which is miserable. So new agent, much better, not dealing with those types of issues anymore. So and then on top of that, I have the trailer. I have the maintenance there. The trailer's a little bit simpler. I've done several things there myself. I'm not really afraid, but tires, maintenance, wiring, suspension, and I figure replace the trailer every 800,000 miles as well. That seems pretty reasonable to me. Again, if I were to find the perfect trailer, I'm not against sticking good money in it, but so that is 1.5 cents per mile. Again, not a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, but it's necessary. And then I have truck and trailer improvements and tools. That is, I need a jack, ratchets, straps, binders, chains, getting it washed. I need to add lights. I need to fix lights, that kind of thing. 5 cents a mile, and I think that's pretty reasonable. I go through straps probably quicker than the average auto hauler, but I'm hauling weird things. I'm putting straps in places that are probably not generally they would go on if I was just hauling new vehicles. So, and that is a grand total of 76 cents per mile. Then, on top of that, you're going to just do easy math to where it is $3.50 for a gallon of fuel right now, approximately. Again, I can get it cheaper some places. I'm in Pennsylvania right now. It's well above $4. So on average, I'm going to say $3.50. I get 7 miles to the gallon. You do the math there. That comes out to 50 cents per mile just to drive the truck. And you add the 50 cents to the 76 cents, and you are at $1.26 per mile just to drive the truck. Do the math there, and it comes out to, if you're able to do 60 miles an hour, it all adds up very quickly. I can't do that math quite off the top of my head, and I don't think it's unreasonable for me to hope to make $30 an hour with what I'm doing. I am putting myself under a lot of stress. I'm putting myself at a lot of risk. It has nothing to do with the weather necessarily, but I'm loading weird things. I'm in riskier situations than the average dry van driver. I don't think it's unreasonable to want to make $30 an hour. So you add all that up, and it's a very costly business to run. People don't realize that. I feel bad. I've had to raise prices for repeat customers and just had to raise prices in general, but that's kind of how I do things. And so, again, if you got any comments or questions, feel free to comment. Make sure to like and follow along, subscribe, and we hope to see you along the road. Thanks for watching. Also, make sure to watch, there's a second part of this video, and I'm going to explain right now why I'm very broke and why I'm up at this time of night, can't sleep.